as a general wear for me. And yeah,
probably weighs about 10 times as much as what you're wearing right now.
Yeah, well, listen, that's me all over now. I can stop buying like cheap quartz watches to try and replace that missing part of me that has been taken away. And now, do you know what? I might even keep the other Cartier SolarBeat as a backup in case, you know, like something ever happens to it, then I've got another one ready. Let's go. What is up, YouTube? It's James from Robin Henry Watches. We're going to dive into part 2 of Watch and Wonders, which we've titled up. Wait, what are we calling this? Winners and I don't know if that'll make it into the title. Interesting point. What have I got on my wrist? You need to put some music over that.
That's not one of the Watches and Wonders winners.
No, it's not, but it was from last year.
Oh, yeah. It's finally made it.
The Tank SolarBeat. So it's been with Cartier for 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 years.
It's finally back from Switzerland with a full service, just because they left a pube under the dial.
One of Louis Cartier's pubes himself.
Yeah, it's obviously not on the original strap because they're only made, I mean, my wrists are tiny and they're clearly only made for people that have like a wrist this big.
To be fair, you did have the small strap version though.
They're all like that.
I thought that was just the short strap one.
No, that's what I thought, but it's not. They're all like that.
Okay.
Even this is because this is the large model, but they put them on an oddly small strap. Talking of this, we do have one in the shop as well with the black strap.
Better strap, yeah.
Brand new, unworn, April 2022, and price wise, I don't know, is it 3-4?
3-4.
Well,
checks for pubes.
Whatever the price is today, it might not be tomorrow's price.
Exactly, and I mean this will come out about 10 years from now, so
probably.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
right.
We've checked it, it's clean. It's
so
all good.
Getting into it, so we've did all the Rolex watches. We've done Omega before, not that they were part of Watch and Wonders.
Now it's time for a quick fire of the winners and from every other brand. Starting with
root beer, or what they're calling the steel and gold. So that's its name. We're just calling it root beer, or everyone else's.
Shout out to Tudor for flying this in straight to us.
Exactly, yeah. I'm now sponsored by Tudor, and they give me free watches. Lol. No, but I do have one, and this one is available in the shop. But that's not why I'm going to class it. I am going to go with the winner category on this.
I agree.
There's a lot of value to this. The retail price, I believe, is in pounds, 4,290. You're getting a GMT watch with a decent amount of gold. So let's discuss that first. Well, the case, we all thought as collectors they were going to bring out, or I'd say what we wanted them to bring out was a GMT, the Black Bay GMT, but in 39mm. What they decided to do was bring out a new GMT in a 39mm case, which was the Pro, which we'll get on to. They left this one in the original case, which I would have liked to have seen it scaled down to the 58 case, which is 39mm, because this at 41, it's on the limit of what I can wear. For most people, it will be fine. Differences from the standard model, which we have here, also in the shop.
They've taken one already sexy bezel and made it even sexier.
Cheapest in the world, FYI. Yeah, so they've obviously changed up the colours on the bezel. Sorry, too much brandy, that one sip. Yeah, they've changed up the colours on the bezel. It's got this really kind of nice gold and gilt on the chapter ring around on the dial. The crown is solid gold. The bezel is solid 18 karat yellow gold as well. And in terms of the bracelet, it's interesting.
Links.
Well, the first 2 links are solid gold, and then after that they're steel gold capped.
Oh, I didn't know that.
To keep the cost down. So I mean, gold capped as opposed to gold plated, it's a lot thicker. Like gold plated is as it says, it's plated. You can scratch it off, you know, with a good. Gold capped, you're not going to, because it's only a core of steel and then a good coating of gold molded around it. Disappointingly, the clasp. I know.
It's all right. I forgot the word for Hublot before, so
I forget words now.
I mean, I'd rather forget Hublot if I can.
My senior age. What's disappointing, it's not to me, it's not the fact that it's steel, which it is all steel. That doesn't particularly bother me, but they've bought out a new clasp on the Black Bay, like the 36 and the 41, like the non-dive watch, you know, without the bezel. and it's got way better adjustment. This is the old class with the dog shit adjustment of 3 pins, which I have on my standard Black Bay.
It just feels weirdly stingy.
They've got the class from the Pelagos, or Pelagos, however you want to pronounce it. I like to do it the posh way. The Pelagos. And they brought out this other new class. Why didn't they put it on here? That's the only downside. The other thing which you could critique if you wanted to would be the continuing use of rivets or faux rivets, which when you're wearing it, they really don't make any difference. But for me, I don't particularly like it, but I don't notice it because I've owned this watch before and you don't notice it once you're wearing it. The dial, though, I love the colorways, especially the bezel. It's really that kind of, 70s vibe. And for around $4 to $5 grand, which is what these come out at on the bracelet, because you can get it, obviously you can get it below 4 if you get it on the NATO or on the leather strap. I mean, there's nothing close to it on value. Even if you were to think like the Rolex Explorer 1 that they did in two-tone, that's nearly double this. Yeah. In fact, I think it is double this.
I think the gold accent on it especially.
Well, if you were talking about market price, what's the price of a Rolex root beer right now, two-tone?
It's a joke.
Way over 20 grand. Yeah. 23, 24, 25, something like that. I haven't kept up with it. This, I mean, we've got this in the web shop at 4.7. There's some jokers asking way over 6, nearly 7 grand. But I think on the aftermarket price, just a couple of £100 extra, or put your name down. I don't know how long it's going to take. Generally, Tudor follows a thing where they're high at first and then they come down. But from last year's, they still haven't. You still can't get the Panda chronograph, etc. So it's not really holding like it used to. But anyway. Essentially a new watch from Tudor, but obviously to us watch collectors, we're like, that's the Explorer 1655 from Rolex. I think it's okay because
they even know what they're doing, all the blurb about it.
And I think, obviously there's some criticism that, is it just a homage watch to it? Well, listen, Tudor is Rolex, and also, what has Tudor always done from the very beginning? You used to have the Tudor Submariner. You had, the equivalent of the Datejust and things like that. So this isn't anything new for Tudor to be bringing out a Rolex model.
Tudor's not a homage brand, although there's an interesting debate on Theo and Harris about that. But it's like a weird cousin of Rolex, I find.
I mean, I think it is, but in the nicest sense, because that's what they've always done. Tudor always originally set out to be Rolex, but at a more affordable price point. Yeah. It still is that, but they have started experimenting, doing their own things, like that horrible thing that you wear, the
Leave the Commander alone.
You've got the Tudor Royale, you've got the North Flag, which although I know that's discontinued now, they do Black Bay's blacked out, But yeah, I think it's a really cool watch. The colorways work really well. 39mm is awesome.
It's the right size.
The only criticism I'd have, I believe these are 15mm thick, and I believe the other one
14.5.
14.6. So yeah, it's basically there as well. Tudor need to work on squeezing that thickness down, because for some of us,
you're just upset with small wrists.
Listen, even people, why do you want it that thick? I think the sweet spot for a sports watch would probably be between, let's say, 10 and 12. The Submariner, I think, is 12. Or it's around there. Yeah. Price wise, was it around 3 grand probably, something like
thereabouts. Depends, because you've got it on the bracelet, the rubber and leather, or what they call in the fabric strap with that little racing stripe down the middle. Interestingly, the leather and rubber and the fabric strap are the same price.
They always do that. That's, I've spoken about that before. They charge way too much for these, little bits of fabric that you can get from other stores for like $5-10.
Yeah, get cheap sailcloth.
I always use that website, cheapestnatostraps.com. She gets those in, and they're really good quality for £10 or less sometimes.
It might be a front for a, greedy
good. I'm happy.
Billionaire overlord, but.
It's like Jacob Arabo. Laundering money for the mob.
Oh, Jacob, the only luxury Swiss watchmaker to take crypto.
Yeah?
Why?
Well, listen, more ways to launder money in an unregulated market. Anyway, moving on before I catch a lawsuit.
Is it Cartier time?
Yes, let's do Cartier.
Yes, that was very decisive.
Let's be objective here.
That's like a kid being told, "Do you want ice cream?" Yes.
Cartier nailed it.
Yeah,
that watch
they did. They did win the show. To be fair.
Yes, that was resonated by Cartier fans, but also generally by the watch community.
I totally agree.
They're continuing to just get stuff right. Some, obviously, they're going in some areas of innovation, and some it's just building on, you know, their classic models, which they always have done. Quite similar to Rolex, if you think, because, you know, they've always, you know, obviously Rolex came about way after Cartier, but, you know, both brands have done very well. One's number one, one's number two, and they've always just improved on their historic models, you know. So the first one let's go over is the Santos Dumont upgrades. They've done a limited edition platinum, and they did the yellow gold, which is also limited edition.
Tasty steel.
And you got the steel with, well, the steel, which won't be limited, has got like a nice black lacquer over it, which is for us lackeys. Oh, see what I did there?
It's black like the dark side of the moon.
So yeah, I'm definitely going to pick one of those up, and they're reasonably priced as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got the gold one, which has got this really nice kind of, I don't want to say cream. It's more, what would you call that? Like, not eggshell like.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can't remember what you lose for it, but it's got a really nice kind of finish to it. And the platinum, I haven't got a picture of me here. Is it burgundy?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, you got pretty much no chance of getting those.
Nah.
I would love to get the yellow gold, and price point is.
The steel, I remember being very, like, I remember the steel being my money.
I think the Santos, Dumont in yellow gold, it was about 14 grand from memory. Listen, you can call me out that I haven't.
Steel was in the region of 5 or 6, I think.
To people, like, side point, we actually filmed this a couple of weeks ago, like, bang on, like, the day after. And we just, I garbled on for way too long and we had to cut it. We just put out the Rolex part. And then last week we put out the Bulgari video that was filmed like a month back.
We're living, this room is, you know, a time
Back to the Future
thing, so it makes sense that our filming schedule was the same. If you weren't sick all the time,
it's not fresh in my mind like it was when we first filmed it. Obviously you've got the do you want to pronounce it? So what made this watch so, like, incredibly awesome is obviously the whole movement was built into the rotor.
All of it.
Now, Cartier has a history with their mystery clocks, which they pioneered in the 20s. They didn't actually invent it. It was invented by an actual magician.
Yeah.
But they made it popular with their mystery clocks, which they sold in their boutiques at first. And even the boutique staff weren't told how they worked, because it was all part of the mystery. And if you read that book, I don't know if you can see it from
also
there,
not sponsored by.
Which I'm not sponsored by. No one pays me anything. But it's all in there, the history of it. It's really interesting. Anyway, so they've taken some of that forward. So it's like you can't see, like, what you'd see normally on a classic watch is you'd see a stem all the way from the crown going in, and that's how you wind the watch. On this one, you can't wind it. You have to physically shake it, but you can adjust the time. And it's there's a good article about it if you read it on Hodinkee, and it will tell you about how it all works. And even you're reading it and you're like,
I still can't.
It doesn't make sense.
I understand it, but I can't visualize it.
It's even crazy, like the main barrel spring and all that. It's all loaded into the rotor, and just
like you could have all the pieces suspended in front of me. I wouldn't be able to even point out how it's done.
Didn't put the price on here, but we discussed it last time. No, there was. It's some insane price.
Oh yeah, it's
limited. It's very limited.
It's like 10 pieces, isn't it?
So it's not for scumbags. Isn't it like £1 million Swiss francs? I feel like I'm making that up, but I feel like it's oddly close.
It's big. There's a ridiculous one. I remember there's one that was $0.25 mil, and then maybe 1.5 mil.
Yeah, maybe something like a peasant version in steel or something.
Yeah.
The only downside, if I could put any downside on it to critique it,
you can't have one.
Well, there is that. But the thickness overall, it's like a hockey puck.
Yeah.
But listen, they did a lot of shiz with this.
They've like bent reality into that tiny little piece.
I think, Cartier's finally starting to get the props for, their horology prowess, however you want to put it. Like, we were discussing it with someone at coffee, and they're like, oh, they can do shit like that. It's like, no, they've been doing it like this for a long time. Go and look at their catalogue, or even go on their website. You can go on their website and there's watches just casually listed up for $0.25 mil.
Yeah.
Cartier do this sort of thing.
They don't even talk about it.
But
they don't need to talk about
I
it.
just think people haven't been that interested in Cartier till lately. You know, the last kind of few years.
Well, I think they don't need to even shout about some of this stuff because it just gets found. I mean, they don't shout about the SolarBeat.
Yeah.
But everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
It's even hard to find on the website. I did it the other day to find a picture for it. If you Google, Google, we're using Google for the word for search now. If you search SolarBeat on Cartier's website, it brings no results up. Not one. But if you go in and just search the models, and
I found it for a long time it wasn't on there, but now it is. But they've obviously got serious production issues to not have got them out because
like you can find
the SolarBeat movement must be at some point, you know, destined to take over the quartz movement.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it might make sense. In the meantime, I need to sell my other one. Anyway,
I wouldn't be surprised if you bought both.
The other thing that the other one that came out, which was really interesting, was the Tank Must, but with a black lacquer dial.
Sweet,
now, what's interesting is this watch was quietly released as a Geneva boutique-only edition. I don't know though, because obviously Cartier is quite private, and you know they don't like to divulge details because you know they're well to do. What we don't know if those people were sold it as a limited or a boutique. Like limited production.
I think it was like an early act. It must have been like an early peak.
I probably, because otherwise you'd be pretty upset.
You're like, shh, don't tell anyone, but this will be out.
There's none of those around, and I thought at the time I was even looking to see if I could buy one on the aftermarket, and no one was. Listen, because if you were one of those people and Cartier catch you out and sell it out, you ain't ever stepping foot in the boutique again. You're going to be like the
bloody Phillips auction guy.
You're going to be like me trying to go into the local Omega boutique. And I use the word boutique with the looser sense, what I'm talking about.
Aren't they in the really poor part of the island?
They're with all the charity shops in the part of the island that you don't want to visit.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Interesting. The Knightsbridge of Guernsey, isn't it?
I wouldn't know what to say, but from what I hear, if you go in there, they can't help but, you know, talk up our business in a very positive manner. So I can only
very competitive.
So I can only say thank you for that, for your continued support and motivation to keep going when otherwise I would have given up.
Exactly.
Anyway. The Louis ones, they've never really interested me that much. They're a great watch, but I haven't gravitated towards that model yet. But yeah, there's some updates there.
I like there's a yet at the end of that.
Well, listen, I mean, there's plenty of time to go down that, and obviously you've got the how do you pronounce it? Because you corrected me the last time. I was going to say the chinoise.
Oh, the
Chinese.
I think I'm wrong. The Chine. I think I was going to say quinoa, but I'm pretty sure that's like a vegetable or something. Quinoa.
I don't know. What we're going to do is we're going to butcher it. The one that's inspired by Chinese temples.
Chinoise.
And that came out originally. I want to say 20s, 30s.
20s is in my head.
And it was inspired by Chinese temples. It's been a model that's been in production on and off all the way since then. It has been recently. They've re-released it and they've done a really awesome job of that too. Although again, I do worry how easy is it going to be to get them. Not very easy. But there's really great
part
history
of their privé line anyway.
I don't want to be plugging a book again without being paid, but there's the history in there. It's super interesting. Very lastly, the last bit which we'll touch on is the Pasha range. So the Pasha has an interesting history because technically it came out in the 80s and it was actually designed by Gerald Gentard, which I didn't actually know until recently. I didn't realise he designed that. Which is interesting. But it was originally...
Pasha of Marrakesh.
Exactly, back in the 30s-ish. But that watch has been lost to history, and we don't actually know what it looked like. But it was inspired from the story.
They've got it squirreled away somewhere.
Maybe,
George Kramer's probably got it.
I don't even think he's carrying that many notes. But essentially, this dude was like, I need a watch which will keep up with my lifestyle, because he's like knee deep in, clunge probably back in those days, with all his money and whatnot.
You remember where I had to cut that bit from the last video?
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry.
I mean, I cut the whole segment, but that's
so anyway, yeah, it's inspired from them. It still feels very 80s, and they brought out loads of new... They relaunched the model about 2 years ago, and they brought out new models, and now they brought out even more. You've got tourbillons, you've got really good chronographs, the grill's back. I know it's like an intrinsic thing, but like I really want to remove that grill. It'd be like, I don't know, shaving the crown guards off a Panerai. I believe it's removable. Maybe it would be like shaving crown guards off a Panerai. I've never handled a Pasha, and I really want to, because I think I really like it. The design's quite quirky, but I do worry it wears quite thick, because it's generally in 41mm, but they do you know, a version in 35.
Obviously the shaping, obviously the crown sticking out and stuff. There's a lot going on there.
They've done a nice moon phase, and it's really kind of, although it's circular, it's kind of oval, and it really goes really well with the colorways.
Yeah, it does.
I'd like to try that. So, well done, Cartier. You win again.
You did the thing. Well done. Should we talk about some shit for a bit?
Yes. So sometimes
from one square watch to another.
Sometimes I defend Hublot because they take a lot of shit. Now they do bring a lot on themselves because their marketing sometimes is worthy of just, you know, being in the trash and trashy. Some of the, you know, the continuous limited editions and other things, they bring a lot of shit on themselves. But
they're not Omega.
They've done some innovation with materials, and they don't get enough props. You know, they've developed their own in-house movements.
I think it's brought on by themselves. They would get more props if they were more consistent.
I mean, listen, commercially they're successful anyway. So what the f do I know? But so they brought out the new watch. What do they actually call this?
Square Bang, I'm pretty sure it said.
Oh God. I mean, it's awful. It looks horrible.
It's the evolution of the Big Bang.
It's like they were like, right, what can we copy?
Right,
Cartier's on it right now. Get the Santos, do that, but make it Hublot-ish. So like sprinkle some Coke on it.
It's right. Don't worry. We've made it different though. We've made it black. Oh, they've done black.
Right, put some carbon. I mean plastic. Or no, buy a ceramic, whatever into it. Listen, aesthetically, it's just disgusting. I think that's universally accepted. If you like it, props to you. But yeah, it's not for me. And the wider community generally concurs that it's awful and it's a blatant rip-off. And they shouldn't do that because they already take enough flack for copying, you know, the Royal Oak. And
that's a whole separate debate. Let's not even get into that.
I ain't going to get into that. And the pricing on it, is this right? King Gold, $43,000.
That's a limited edition, the King Gold, I think. Oh no, it's the all black that's limited, isn't it?
Titanium, $23,000. Oh no. Oh no. No, not for me. There's nothing else to say about it. I don't even want to get into the technical aspects of it. I mean, the thing's huge, it's gross.
I can think of one YouTuber will probably cover it.
Who? Oh. The one that Amsterdam Vintage Watches really love and don't like lay into constantly.
For clarity, I just did the screen by Monet. Was it Monet? I don't know.
Watch expert.
What do I know about art? Maybe I should subscribe to Masterworks.
Maybe. What do you think that would be?
If they sponsored us, sponsorship. You never know.
I'll let Heinz Beans like sponsor me at this stage. I've got bills to pay.
Vacheron had something nice going on.
Oh yeah.
222 for 2022.
So the remake of the 222
in the 2 month.
Yeah, they just nailed that watch. It's stunning. It really captures like
I don't like all gold, but
the vintage-esque sports watch.
That's a very Michael Caine watch.
It's so classy, well designed. The only disappointing thing is they didn't bring back the correct movement for it. $63,000, something like that.
So I'm just busy boozing up.
It's like I haven't had brandy for a while. It's quite strong.
It's yeah.
Anyway,
I thought about having a brandy yesterday. I was like, nah, not on the peninsula.
Who the f goes there?
I had
anyway,
instead.
Yeah, beautiful. Really liked it. That was a standout. But again, I just the only problem is with a lot of these releases, and Cartier is at fault here as well, is that these are going to be so hard to get. A lot of these new watches are just so hard to get. I mean, if you can't get a fucking plastic swatch, what chance have we got? Even at that end, you'd be like, $63,000. Oh, not many people can afford it. But guess what? They can.
I think this is where the props go again to, and I'm going to blow my load over Omega here a little bit, but Omega, everything Omega put out this year is accessible. You can get it.
Within reason. To be fair, most of the dealers now are taking inquiries only, but I think that might be just because of stock availability being so early.
I mean, unless you wanted a moon swatch, in which case maybe you got stabbed in New York or...
Yeah, exactly. But to be fair, yes, to Omega props.
My argument was going to expand to Cartier as well, and to Tudor. Pretty much everything that was put out that was accessible was from those three brands.
Yeah, I mean, some of these are still hard to get unless you've got a relationship.
But we
with
got
AD.
one which proves the point you can
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, yeah. Listen, I know quite a lot of collectors that managed to pick this up in the first week.
Yeah.
I'm in a WhatsApp group, and a lot of the guys got the Black Bay Pro.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't jealous about.
No, of course not.
I'm not getting hooked up there. But, and maybe I shouldn't, because know me, I'd flip it anyway. But I do like that watch.
I would like to see that in person, yeah.
But the point is that genuine collectors like them are able to get them, which is good, and they should be, because especially these guys, they're not flipping for profit. They're genuine enthusiasts, and they share among themselves at below market prices. So that's good that they're getting out there. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say on it, to be honest. There was nothing overly stand out. There were loads of releases from all the other brands, but I'm only going to cover the stuff that interests me, so it's my channel, so what else am I going to do? Check out also as well, don't forget about all of our essentials. We've got hats, hoodies. What weird sign is that?
Essentials.
Well, what else are you going to call it? They are essentials.
You can buy this when he puts his arm through it.
Well, you know what? I was going to put up the Cartier Crash here, but it looks so good in my living room. Do you want to hear a funny story about that as well?
Has it crashed down on the floor already?
No.
Okay, good.
Ariana comes in, and there was a picture of her up in the dining room.
Oh,
and
no!
She's like, Dada, why did you take my picture down? I was like, listen, I don't love you no more. I love the Cartier Crash. So anyway, I put it in the room, but I haven't put it up yet. Like, nailed it into the wall. And she's like, she said to Eleanor, she's like, Dada hasn't put my picture up. Listen, maybe I don't love you.
There's that horrific angel thing still there, though. Is it an angel? The little cloth
bollocks
thing.
Yeah, that little troll doll.
Jesus.
But yeah, Ariana, if you watch this in the future when you're older, I'm gonna put your picture up.
You should put a picture of her up here, really.
Yeah, maybe. Listen, she got to star in one of our best performing videos.
This is true, and she called you Smelly Pants. This is payback, isn't it?
Over 5,000 views of me being called Smelly Pants.
Not the only person
I say
being
that
called
like
Smelly
it's a big
Pants.
number, but for me.
I know someone else who got called Smelly Pants once. It was over text.
Let's get out of this. Right. check out the website robinhenrywatches.com and Instagram at robinhenrywatches and Facebook if you can be bothered, which he looks after. That's why I say we out.